Okay, so without further ado, I'd just like to introduce our Chief Executive of the Department of Energy and Mining. So Dr. Paul Heithersay leads the South Australian Department of Energy and Mining, one of the few departments globally to recognise the link between mining and renewable energy. So Dr. Heithersay is building on South Australia's leadership in renewable energy and the state's much needed world-class mineral resources for tomorrow's industries as the state turns its focus to growing its hydrogen sector to accelerate industries towards a zero carbon future, part of the state's prosperity projects. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Paul Heithersay.
Thanks very much. So thanks for joining us today. As guests here on Ghana land, we acknowledge everything this department does impacts on Aboriginal country, the sea, the sky, its people, and the spiritual and cultural connections which have existed since the first sunrise. Our responsibility is to share our collective knowledge, recognise a difficult history, respect the relationships made over time, and create a strong future. We are ready to walk, learn, and work together. And our Geological Survey of South Australia acknowledges that all its work is on traditional lands, and we're grateful to the people who support us to make this work possible. That acknowledgement of country is something we're pretty proud of because the team at DIM, with some help from some of our Aboriginal colleagues, sort of came up with this acknowledgement of country, and I think it's because it's come from us, it's generated by us, and I wasn't game enough to try and do it today, but we're trying to do that language as we go on. So welcome to you all. It's a great turnout. Although somebody said it looks like we're in a bit of a disco, so if the disco lights go on, you'll know what to do. I think the first slide. So I might reflect on this slide a bit because I think it's a ripper. I asked Grace to sort of put together what's happened in the last 20 odd years that I've been in the department. I was in the lift the other day and just mentioned to somebody I've been in the department around 22 years. It's probably long enough. And random people in the lift said, "Yeah, absolutely. What are you still doing here?" But when I look at a graph like this, it really is quite telling. You look at the figures there. Exploration back in 2003, 36 million. Now it's well over 300, which is going to sustain that for quite some time. Royalties, 82 million, barely significant to the state. Now it's 422 and going north. I think there'll come a day when $1 billion per annum is going to be realistic. And you look at those gross production sales, 1.2 to over 10 billion. So there's no doubt now in anybody's mind that mining is here to stay and is a critical part of the economy. Picture on the left is a younger Paul Heithersay and a younger Paul Holloway back when we launched the paste plant back in 2004. That was a raging success at the time. It was meant to go for 3 years, we went for 15 and then rolled on to the ADI. Many jurisdictions copied it, but in fact we'd actually copied it from New South Wales. So the story there is Robert Crapney, who was advising the government at the time, said, you need to do something about mining. Why don't you do what New South Wales did and do the subsidised drilling? And thankfully, I'd been in New South Wales when that was operating, and Ted and others there helped out with what went wrong there, and we redesigned it to make sure it didn't go wrong. And of course, now we've got a number of discoveries on the back of that particular program, which contribute to these figures. And of course, just in terms of raw economic output, the South Australian export profile is 42% commodities that we make in this room. It's a very large chunk of it. It's a big flywheel for the economy to keep South Australia going. So it's still the case that agriculture and mining are the two mainstays of the South Australian economy. And some years ago we developed the magnetite strategy and the copper strategy. We're revisiting those now big time. The Premier's prosperity plan really is built around these two strategies. Our copper strategy back then, I think it was in 2014, 15 we did that, was to have 1 million tonnes of copper per annum by 2030. Now, we're going to get to plus 600. I mean, BHP on their own is 650. Hillside it will be 50 to 150. So we're hitting. It's not a pipe dream. It's actually a realistic proposition, and it's and why it makes sense because we've got 70% of the known sort of copper resources in South Australia. But South Australia, by and large, whilst it's got all the resources, it's not the biggest producer it should be. Similarly with magnetite, we're in Japan for a conference. In fact, it was the first overseas trip that the Premier had done. And our first meeting was with Nippon Steel. He was there to talk about hydrogen, but all I wanted to talk about was magnetite. And I'm sitting at the table, and he's a bit flustered because he wasn't briefed for that. He wasn't expecting that. But thankfully, I had my little magnetite brochure in the bag and just sort of slid it across the table. And all of a sudden, magnetite is now the flavour of the month, and it's part of the prosperity plan. So a little bit of pre-planning work for us there. And of course, this is the jewel in the crown. Finally, we managed to get a sign on the drill core library, and that's a great legacy of the current minister. It happened because we were running out of space at Glenside big time. We put up progressive, successive years budgets for a new core library, not successful. Then an election comes along. Martin Hamilton-Smith, who was the opposition spokesman for mining, came up to me and said, well, I've got to develop a mining policy. What do you guys want? And I said, we need a core library. He announced it, and of course the government of the day had to match it, so bingo, we had a core library. Now, Tom Pitchertones might have a slightly different view of that. I think it was lobbying by Ted particularly that got him across the line, and now it's one of the best, if not the best, core library in the world. We have lots of countries coming in to see what we're doing. And of course, regardless of what for geologists, this is a great place to work. But in terms of just raw economics, it would cost $7 billion to replace the collection. And we did we've done a number of studies over the years. We did a recent one with ASLL, and it showed that you get over $6.50 for every dollar you spend on a geological survey, which is a pretty good return on investment. And of course, this map is another sort of milestone in the geological survey's history. The GCAS survey sort of ran from 2015 to 2020. It's now known as the gold standard for aeromagnetic surveys, and a lot of work has been built on this. This is a Ted Time legacy, this one, because he convinced the minister that he should spend $30 million on another aeromag survey, even though we already had one. So lots of people say, what the hell are you doing that for? But of course, what it gave us is continuous data, far better granularity in terms of what we could do. And on the right-hand side there is work that Les Katona did, trying to really work down on which anomalies were which. And there he's got the Oak Dam, Kernson and Mag gravity anomaly and the gravity anomaly showing pretty clearly now in hindsight what to look for. And of course, Oak Dam has changed the search space quite a bit in terms of EGLIF for IRCGs. So, but just sort of where did this take us? Okay, it's great to have a mag survey. What's the new bit? Well, this is the new bit, I think. This is discovery mapping. So this is Mark Pauly, Tom Wise, and others who are developing a true 4D database for geology. That's the sort of interpret of existing solid geology right now. This is what it's starting to look like. And better than that, everything's dated, everything's attributed, all the faults are being revisibly dated, and then the jigsaw has to fit together. So the beauty of this thing is it's not just a static layer of a series of geology. slices is actually everything is connected to everything else. And so it's applying far more rigour to the geology, but then allows explorers particularly to start uncovering things that matter. So for example, in that early Paleoprote extinction, you can see the structures that are reacting to that. In the 1700 to 1640 million years, you started to see a change in stress field, and you sort of start to see the changes that are happening in the shear zones as well. And when you get to the important one, around the 1590 bracket, you can start to map the shears that are actually active at this particular point in time, right? So, and we're still debating what ISCGs are all about. But one thing you can say, and particularly a prominent hill, the high graders in shear zones that are almost mileized in some cases. So this stuff actually matters. So this is just basic geology, but when you put it together like this, it has profound impact on how you explore for things. Regardless of your model, you can take this data and say, all right, the 3 or 4 ingredients that I need are here. And think of the time saving, because as explorers, we've all done this sort of work, and it takes forever to do it. But if you can sort of start on a platform where that stuff is done, and you're really just applying your exploration IP, then we're going to be in far better shape. SARIC, of course, John Parker, I was with John the other day, he set this up way back in the mid-80s, I think. They were the first people to use GIS, first people to set up data models, and of course, through Christie's got hold of it now, and she's turning this thing into a world-class service. And we've always rated very highly in geoscience delivery. Is rated very highly on the back of this particular service, and we're keeping investing in it. The new HiLogger down the bottom there, very recent new machine, new ways of visualising data. So the core library becomes, something well beyond a place where you pull out core trays. We can have all this technology, and we've had a whole range of technology come through the core library, but we're also part of the Tonsley Park, and there are things going on in there that will come right back into the core library in due course. I think that Chris Cubitt has joined the survey just recently, and he's really added a lot to our department, bringing sort of oil and gas expertise. And this is one of his maps showing, and the work that they've done recently showing that potential down down the southeast is a lot higher than people think. This map's sort of showing new areas where there's significant gas expulsion, so that points to new areas that haven't really been tested yet. So the survey is doing a lot of work on gas supply. The state government is long on gas. We want to find more gas. We want to use gas as a lever for reindustrialisation, transitioning to hydrogen in the future. And this work is really, really important, and it's exciting a lot of people. Minex. So this is another one which has been a long time in its making. In fact, early in the PACE plan, we managed to have some money for a professor of exploration undercover. That ended up being Dave Giles. And that sort of rolled into one CRC, which then evolved into the Minex CRC. So we've now got a coiled tube rig, which was the idea all the way along, for rapid mobilisation, real-time analysis, low footprint, and we've got a working prototype, if you like. It's now being commercialised, and we're using it right now in our GP2 program. It's just an outstanding piece of kit, and I think it's going to revolutionise drilling as we know it. They can do the sort of drilling they can do with core and chips, but they can do it for about a third of the cost of conventional drilling. So it's going to take off, and I'm really proud of our department's involvement in that over time. Of course, GA, our colleagues in GA have managed to, acquire a 30 plus year funding agreement with the federal government. I had in a meeting with the head of DISA the other day, and he said, well, if you can have a 50-year agreement for subs, you can have a 30-year agreement for geology. So they managed to win the day. And we look forward to working with GA, doing the outstanding work that they do. We really value our relationship with Geoscience Australia, and hopefully we can keep the two groups working together. And finally, this is the final slide. This is Northern Water, and this is a slide put together just to show what's going to happen, what could happen with the investment in Northern Water. This is a $5 billion exercise, building a desal plant on the Eyre Peninsula, and then sending a pipeline up to Olympic Dam. But the beauty of that is, of course, it's a water supply to a whole range of things. And this map, I sort of call the jewel box map, just shows you occurrences that are going to be, that are close by the proposed pipeline route. And we know from Kalgoorlie, from Mount Isa, when you build this sort of through-going infrastructure, everything lights up. So this is going to be a game changer for South Australia, but the geology still matters, of course, and as we develop our knowledge about the geology of around this particular piece of infrastructure, the more success we're going to have. So that's it from me. This probably will be the last one of these that I give, and I just want to thank everybody for your friendship and support over the years. I think collectively we've done a lot of good things. I think the metrics speak for themselves. So thanks very much.